Are we
Welcome to
starting
Stories
yet?
of Brisco and Bradshaw. I would be Bradshaw, and that would be your Chickasaw native, your Chickasaw Hall of Famer, Oklahoma's favorite son, Mr. Gerald Brisco. And we have got one of the legends of the business today, former NWA World Champion, WWE Women's Champion, a million championships all over the world. She's in the St. Louis Hall of Fame, the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. Leilani Kai is our guest today, and I've been practicing her name because I'm terrible at pronouncing names, so I did the best I could. Leilani, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be on it. You can call me Lonnie. It might be easier, Lonnie.
It would be a lot easier for me. I'm having a hard
Yeah,
time with your name.
everybody call
I've
me
been
Lonnie.
practicing it all
I don't
morning.
want to hear anybody call me Leilani.
He'll screw that up too. Believe me, I've worked with him long enough. He's a Texan, and they have trouble with names over two syllables, and so just forgive him. He's a Texan. He'll get over it.
Jerry, you got to speak up.
Why do you want me to speak up for? I thought you wanted to mute me. You had me muted before.
Well, Lonnie, welcome to the show. Thank you so very much for joining us. You're in Tampa right now, right?
Yes, it's where I lived for the last 9 years.
And you're
I was
right there by
born
Mr.
here.
Briscoe.
Pardon?
So you're right there by Mr. Briscoe.
Yes, not too far away. I'm pretty sure it's not too far away. I live like near Lutz where we were last Saturday.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I live there in Lutz too. Next street up is Lutz. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay, great. John, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, unfortunately.
Oh God, this is
Lonnie, I am so
we
sorry. I apologize to you about Mr. Briscoe.
All right. I'm having fun.
He doesn't get any
Oh,
better. It's going to get worse from here. We apologize to
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Mm.
Well, speaking of apologies, John, you don't have to apologize because you're from Texas, but Lelani has been a friend of mine for a long, long time, and we'll get into how she got started, and me and my brother play a really important role in her getting her started in the business. So it's another one to her credit here that I'm proud to take. Lelani, tell us a little bit about how you did get started and what the circumstances.
At first, I really liked roller derby. That's what I wanted to do. I could skate very well, and I was
You
thinking
wanted to be a
about it. I
roller
was
derby
probably around.
queen?
I'm
You wanted to
sorry.
be a you wanted to be a roller derby queen?
Yes, I wanted to be a roller derby queen, and I used to go skating
That's
all.
what John's a roller derby queen.
Would you let her finish? Lonnie, I apologize to you about him.
Used to him. So anyway, one day I was walking home from school. Yeah, I was like, I think 15 then, maybe 15. Yeah, 15. And Jerry and his brother Jack stopped beside me. It seemed like it was like a gold Camino car or Camaro. I don't remember what it was, but he stopped and I looked in the window and they stopped me and said, excuse me, do you know where the National Guard Armory is? And I looked and I said, oh, what a couple of pretty Indian men. That's what I thought at first. I said, God, they're so good.
Oh
And
my goodness.
it was. I mean, they're just, so bright. And I told them where it was at. And I said, why? And they said, because we're wrestling tonight. Are you ever watch wrestling or do you watch wrestling? And I said, I may have seen it a couple of times, but I've never gone to an actual live event. And Jack said, well, you should come sometime. It's every Tuesday night, I believe, here. So about 3 weeks later, my uncle actually worked at the armory. And I asked him, can I go with you to the wrestling matches? And I had to sneak out to do it. I lived in a foster home and it was a ranch. It wasn't too far away. And there's another little story there, too. So anyway, I got my uncle to take me, and I was sitting in there, and I saw first person I saw come out was some guys called the Hollywood Blondes, and after them, Sir Oliver Humperdinck, and then after that,
Jerry Brown and Buddy Roberts, I believe, was that.
yes, yes, I don't remember who their opponents were, but I remember them. They were the bad guys. That's why I thought of it then. Um, so anyway, I saw a couple ladies come out to wrestle, and I thought to myself, my God, I can do this. It just changed my whole world. I couldn't stop thinking about it after that. And I was 15 then, and I started to try to go. I lived on a ranch. It was a foster home, and they were trying to get me to just go to school, go to college. I went to school, and when I finished school, I told them, I said, I'm going to be a wrestler. And they didn't believe me. They said, well, we'd rather you stay here and run things here. They had a country western store. They owned a flea market there. And I became part of their family. And they'd have auctions on Fridays, and Saturdays they'd have dances. And I was the only daughter they had at the time, and they have no other children. And I'd been with them about 2 years. And I really wanted to do what they wanted me to do, but I just couldn't get wrestling out of my mind. And even at school, it was interrupting me because I would draw these little stick men wrestling each other and pictures and getting in trouble. And I just couldn't stop thinking about wrestling. And when they got to find out where I was going there, they told me I couldn't go anymore. So I'd sneak out somehow and go to another town when they had it. I got some friends that would go, and I would go with them. So I started asking around about how I could be a professional wrestler. That was so hard. And I asked Bob Roop. He was like my very favorite after I started going. He was my favorite.
Wait a minute. Roop was over the Brisco brothers after we'd told you how to
Well, I
get
loved y'all too, but as far as like a single wrestler, I liked, Bob. I like all the Florida Championship wrestling people. But
Hey, Lonnie, I like Bob Root better too.
I liked him, and he was real sweet to me, real nice. He kept his distance, but he told me one day when you get older, some of us will probably let you know where you can go. They didn't let me know then. And I can't really exactly know when I found out about the Fabulous Moolah School. But when I did, as soon as I got out of school, the day I got out, I went up and I told my foster parents I'm going to go be a wrestler. And they were pitching a fit. And I was 17. I wasn't going to be 18 for another 8 months. So I was talking to a wrestler named Archie. I think he went as a Mongolian stomper.
Archie Goldie, yeah.
Yes, Archie, and another man named a Wolfman. He had some kind of
John Smith.
Yes, he had a place in Tampa. Oh, I have family in Tampa, so I come up to Tampa, and that was my way to be able to go to the wrestling matches. And I met Professor Tanaka, and Mr. Fuji, and they both told me that I'm not old enough to ask how old I was. I said I'm 18, and they said, well, Mr. Fuji said, well, there's a school called the Fabulous Moolah School. It's in Columbia, South Carolina. We could probably, get in touch with her and see if it's okay for you to come up. And you're of age, right? I said, yes, I'm of age. And I lied to him. And Professor Tanaka said, they both took me out to eat. Professor Tanaka said, if you were to get into it, you'd make a great, Polynesian wrestler from Hawaii. Your name should be Leilani. He didn't say Kai, but he said Leilani. And
Wow.
and I just, I was still like real green, talking to him. I was not smart at all. In fact, I wasn't smart for like probably 8 months or 9 months after I got wrestled. I wasn't smart to the business. Moolah was very kayfabe also. So they made arrangements for me to meet two of the girls, which was Susan Green and Ann Casey, in Augusta, Georgia. I'm trying to remember everything. It's a long time ago. Actually, this is my 50th year in the business, so I'm just trying to remember because this would be 52 years ago.
How did you get to Columbia? Because that's 10 hours from Tampa.
Columbia, I rode with Mr. Fuji, Toro Tanaka, and another gentleman. I can't remember his name. They had to go to Augusta. They started in Augusta, Georgia. They were starting in Atlanta, Georgia territory. This time they left Florida, so I had to wait till they were leaving to go up there. And they took me to Augusta, Georgia, and Ann Casey and Susan Green was there, and they picked me up there and took me to Columbia. and I went to Mula's house, and inside her house, she was there. Donna Crisatello was there, Tony Rose, and another lady, Vicky Williams. So anyway, I stayed overnight at Mula's house, and next day we went to the gym and started working out a little bit, and I learned my bumps like so fast. I learned.
Well, let's back up a little bit. When you were going up there to Mula's, was there a fee? I mean, you don't have to name the
Yes,
figure, but
Mula charged $500.
how were you surviving and saving that money at the same time?
She didn't take $500 at first. She wanted to take me right away, and she said, you could just pay it when I book you. And I said, okay, I brought some money with me. I became poorer, much poorer when I went to her place than what I was. But I just loved it so much. I tolerated a lot of things. And so the next day we went out there and we all kind of worked out a little bit. I watched them. And I learned my bumps right away. So Mula said, you come out here like every day for about 2 hours and work out. So we all worked out. It was all Mula's girls. Mula didn't get in the ring with us. It was the girls that worked out with each other. We helped each other. Didn't learn from nobody else. And
who was your crew? Susie Green, and who all was there?
Susan Green. She worked with me the most, and Vicky Williams. And Donna Crisatello. Mula would come out there and maybe show off a little bit and do some real heavy, rough things in the ring to make it, make it look real good. But she was a very stiff person.
Besides you, I always thought Donna Crisatello was one of the best workers at Layfield.
Yes, Donna was good. Yes. I thought Mula's girls were good. All of them, they had their own little personalities. I like working with George Grable, Susan Green.
All really basic foundation were really, really good at that.
Yes. Mula had like these barrack type places, little houses on her property, and she put 2 or 3 girls in each one of these homes and charge them $300 or $400 a month for rent. She would pay for the lights and would tell us what our part was. She would just take it off her books. My first trip was 3 weeks later. I still was not smart to anything. I knew that we all worked each other and all, but I still was not smart to nothing. The other girl that went with me to Alaska, she started the same day I did. So neither one of us didn't really know much, but Mula told us to just get out there and keep going and don't stop until one of us does finish, which would be called beforehand. And that's what my career started out to be. And then right away, I just went on the road. It seemed like all the time. I was born heel. She cut me heel. That's my favorite to do. I started getting to where I was trying to be leader.
Did you go Polynesian right away, or
yes? I was called the Hawaiian Princess at first, and then Leilani. Hawaiian Princess was something that was done in New York and WWWF. They were calling me the Hawaiian Princess. I don't think I had a name at the time, the proper name. I knew it was Leilani, but they hadn't gave me a last name yet. So I worked up there a little bit before I became Leilani Kai. So Mula listened. I think it was Mr. Fuji that told Mula she should be called Leilani Kai. That'd be a great name for her to represent the islands. And right away, I started learning what the islands were like, what the people were like, just learning the culture. I'd read about it. I was so into my gimmick. I really, really got into it. I had fun. And even Mula said, your first trip to Japan will have you stop in Hawaii so you can go around Hawaii and take pictures so it can look like really natural. So, but it was a while before I went to Hawaii, but I mainly worked up in WWF a lot, back and forth. When I started in Japan, I went for one one group called FMW. It was a guys group. I went with Vicki Williams, and that's where I started really learning how to work. Was when I went over there my first trip. I've been to Japan like 18 times, and I'd have to go like 2 months at a time. So I loved it over
Tell,
there. So I got my teaching. I learned, taught myself over there.
tell us a little bit about the scheduling with the girls there, because I know when I was in the office, I know when I started in Oklahoma. Girls would come about once every quarter, about every 3 or 4 months, come in for a week, make the loop, and then disappear, go to another day. Did you have
Well,
that schedule, or was you guys pretty in sync with where you were going?
um, Mulda didn't really tell us the places we were going. Um, if we were going anywhere, she'd say, "Tomorrow you're leaving. Be ready for 2 weeks." She wouldn't even tell us where.
Wow.
But what was the question you asked me? I'm sorry. I felt like I was going somewhere else with it.
No, just
Schedule.
your schedule. Yeah, how was your schedule? Because you guys were on the road just about the entire year, weren't you?
Yes, what anybody that had a car, we would four of us get in a car, or two get in a car, we would go from one territory to another. We'd go like to Georgia, work there for about a week, and then travel to Louisiana, work for Bill Watts for about 2 weeks, and then go to California, work for Roy Shires for about 2 weeks. It was like around the United States, and then up to New York a lot, back and forth. New York and up, back and forth was more for me than anywhere else I went. I went a lot of places, but New York was where I went the most, and Japan.
Now,
So,
during this process, Leilani, did you get to go back to Fort Myers and see your family down there, or Mort?
I
What's that
got to go
program?
back down about 2 years later.
Uh,
I actually I was working there, and the ranch that I lived on was like 100 acres, and it was called Kickapoo Ranch. So I was telling the guys about it on the way down to the event. I said I used to live on this ranch, and it's off this road. And they said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah." And I didn't know. I knew we were going to a civic center, but I'd never heard about a civic center being in Fort Myers. So when we got almost there, I thought, "Gosh, this is like the driveway to where I used to live at."
wow.
But when we got to the civic center, I said, "My God, I used to live here right on this property." Kickapoo Ranch is gone. It was just gone, and no horses, no cows, no peacocks, no monkeys, no nothing. It was just we had chimpanzees, all kinds of animals, and everything was just gone. I said, I can't believe I'm wrestling in somewhere that I used to live in a building. That I used to live right here. It was probably where my bedroom was. Where I'm sitting right now in my dressing room. I couldn't believe it. It's just like everything demolished there. They had a big dance place there, and a home, and 100 acres with oranges, and they distributed oranges. That's what their company was for, oranges and avocados. And we had thousands of trees, and the horse tracks, for the horses, to people to rent a horse to ride. I had like 6 horses, never rode a horse in my life. I got on a horse, I got on my horse called Kickapoo, but I never rode. I just got up there, got back down, but I could rent out my horses because they got me horses. I rent them out for $3 an hour back then. So
Well,
that's how
you
I made
you
my
could
little
you could
school
probably
money.
ride John. John's got a party pony that his mom got him for his 6th birthday. That party pony used to throw him off all the
Don't you
time, but
listen to
he get
him.
back up.
Lelani, was the home in there in Fort Myers, was that where you spent nearly all your childhood? I know we're skipping back a little bit. Was that where you spent nearly all of your childhood?
No, my father passed away when I was real young. My mother was around, but she was kind of sick. It's just, it's kind of sad to say, but she was a bit of an alcoholic, but she was a good person, and I got to visit her some, but couldn't go anywhere with her much or anything. And she would sneak and get me if I'm going to say I'm going to stay with a friend of mine. She would come get me and take me to Tampa to the matches in St. Petersburg. I knew there'd be wrestling in St. Petersburg, and I wanted to go so bad. And she'd take me up there all the way to Tampa, and we'd stay over and come back, And I made like I didn't go anywhere to do anything, but I just snuck everywhere I could to go watch wrestling back then. And
What was the year that you first worked with New York WWF, and was it Vince Senior was the one that first called you?
uh, Yes, Moolah sent me up there. I never really talked to made my bookings. Moolah made my bookings, and it was for senior. Yes, senior for quite a while. Moolah was very good friends with him because she was always around me. She was my manager. She was just always with me all the time, and uh, when we go up there, they were really good friends. So we'd go out. He'd take us out every time we went up there. He was close with Lily and Moolah. He was close with her, and I worked up there with him for about until 85, I guess, till Junior Vince Jr. kind of took over. I was through all that era. I was in the WWF, WWF, and WWE from 75 until 95. I retired in 92. And then 94, they called and asked me if I would work with Lalandra. And I wasn't prepared to do that. And I said, no. I said, why don't you use Debbie Combs? And I would try to get Debbie Combs in it because I wasn't prepared. I hadn't worked in 2 years. I was retired. I didn't want to. I was rusty. And so finally, after a while, they asked me again, said, look, we need you to do this. We need to get Alondra over. And I said, well, I can understand that, but there's other girls who can do it, but I'm just not shaped up to do it. I wasn't overweight or anything, but or out of shape, but I just hadn't worked in 2 years, and I felt kind of funny to just get back into it. So they told me, look, if we send you and Alondra somewhere to get some practice, will you come and do it? I said, okay. That was a big change from when Moolah told me WrestleMania 1 that she had to beg Vince McMahon to get me on that event. And I don't know why, because I didn't know anything about it. It didn't matter if I was on it or not. I didn't care. I didn't know anything about WrestleMania. When I first went there, I didn't even know what it was. I just thought it was a regular event. So I saw these celebrities moving around. I knew nothing about what was going on with WrestleMania. I didn't hear anything about it. Just be there. And so WrestleMania 10.
Before WrestleMania 1, because that's interesting. Before WrestleMania 1, were you just working all the time? Was that why you didn't hear about it? You weren't up in New York and you just got booked for the WrestleMania?
I was in Japan. And for the first, when I got Wendy's belt was 3 or 4 months before, I was in Japan, and Moolah had me sent home and sent another girl to my place for 2 more weeks, sent me back. I don't know why she did that. She had like 20 girls. I don't know why it was me, but I'd already been working out with Wendy a little bit, and Wendy was not, she was kind of new still, she lost all this weight and she looked fantastic and she was perfect for the role she did. But Moolah had me come up to get the belt, and she told me, she said, I begged Vince to do this with you, and I know now why she did.
That's a typical promoter's line. No, I had to beg him to put you on the
I told her I was always intimidated by her, but I told her, I said, why would you want to send me over there if you got to beg? You have to beg somebody to put them on their event. Let them put who wants to put on there. There's plenty of girls she had, but no, she said, no, hon, I wanted you to be there. She wanted me under her thumb. That was her way of, making me thank her, for putting me on these events. And I was working so much anyway, so I didn't really care. And after WrestleMania 1, I still didn't know how special it was, but we had the after party. So that was.
How was the after party?
What?
How was the after party?
Oh, it was quite good.
Wait a minute. You're getting both John and I peaked here. Tell us a little bit about the party. That's what we want to know about.
Yeah, how was the party?
The party? Okay.
What made it so special?
I saw Mr. McMahon get up and dance with his kids. He was on the floor dancing. Andre got up dancing, and he was hopping all over the place, spinning around, having a good time. He had a keg of beer in his hand, and he was dancing around, and Vince was dancing around with his kids. And I think, I didn't really see anything wild happen there. I think I left quite early, but when I was sitting down, I just remember Vince dancing with his children and Andre getting up and dancing around in circles and screaming and hollering and laughing.
With a keg of beer under his arm.
No, it was in his hand. He might have had two. I'm not sure. He wasn't sitting at my table. I was sitting with Mula and Fred Blassie and his wife, and I can't remember who I was sitting with. I'm Pat Patterson.
What was the singer? What was her name? John, help me out there. The girls just want to have fun.
Cyndi Lauper.
What was Cyndi Lauper like to you guys? Was she real pleasant?
Oh, Cindy? Oh, she was a very, very sweet person. Very, very nice. She believed in what she was doing. She come to me in the dressing room the first time I met her, and she said, I said, well, just call me Pat or Patricia or I'm going to call you Patty. You're Patty, okay? I said, okay. And she called me Lanny. And she says, I just want to ask you, why are they taking the belt off my girl? And you're taking it. What's going to happen? She was concerned about the belt being taken off of Wendy. And I didn't know myself. I was told that we're going to do WrestleMania and would switch it back. And later on, they told me that I had no idea why I was getting the belt. I don't know. It's my first one I think I ever had. So I don't know, but I did a good run with Wendy afterwards. But Cindy was really, really sweet. She was concerned about Wendy. She was really into her thing with Wendy. She cared about Wendy and she wanted her girl to do real good. And she was serious about everything, which was good. She was very, very serious. Very nice person. Very sweet.
She was real respectable with the business then.
Yes, she was. Yes. My hair actually was green when I came back because when I go to Japan, I'd have to do it blonde. And when I come back, I'd have to do it dark. So when Mula sent for me to come back, my hair was blonde and it was long. And I tried to do it brown before I got to where I had to go, before I'd leave to go where I was going. And it turned pure green. And I didn't know what to do. So I had it wrapped up. And when I went to the arena.
Well, you could have gone to Susan Green then.
Susan Green, she's still kind of kicking, but right now she has like second-degree cancer, skin cancer. So it's she's not really doing much right now, but she's still kind of active in wrestling. But I just love her to death. She's real sweet. Anyway, Cindy was a very kind person, very nice, and she told me that night if I wanted to come stay at her house, she said, I'll have a lot of people in and out, but you can come stay at my house. You had nowhere to stay. I said, well, I got a place to stay. And I was with Mula at the time. Mula was very kind of jealous of her a little bit, but but I like Cindy. She cared about what she's doing. She was serious about her work. And I thought she did great. I really did. I think she said hi to me through online one day. I think I was talking to her a little bit, and she just asked how I was doing, and she really liked doing the wrestling part. And anyway, get back to it. My hair was green, so she's involved in this. I go in the dressing room. I take my band down. I was like bawling. I was crying and everything. It's the first time I met her, and she says, "What's the matter?" And then she didn't know my name. She said, what I call you?" I said, "Call me either Pat or Patricia or Lonnie." And she said, "Lanny, I'll call you Lanny." And I said, "Okay." So she said, "Okay." She says, "What's wrong with your hair? What happened?" I told her what happened, and she says, Pat. She screams for her hairdresser. He was there too, and he did my hair for WrestleMania. For not WrestleMania, but for the time I won the belt from Wendy. That night, he did my hair dark from the green, and I had my match with her. And then after that, I went on the road with her until WrestleMania. I still didn't even know what WrestleMania was when I went there, but I just knew it was kind of big because I saw celebrities. That's the only thing that was different. Everything was the same except for the celebrities. So I didn't realize how big it was. There was a lot of chaos. Were you there, Jerry?
No, I was doing the closed circuit in Tampa.
Oh, yeah, it was quite wild, and everybody's running around like in the dressing rooms and in the hallways, screaming. mainly Pat was around screaming at everybody. So it was a madhouse. But it was fun. The after party was nice. Everybody got and danced, and there was nothing crazy that went on. Just that Andre got and danced with his keg of beer. That was it. And Mr. McMahon and his kids, because they were little back then. So there's so much to remember. I have so many stories. I just keep going back and forth, frontwards and backwards. I don't want to miss anything, but
Was Moolah always in charge of the girls? I mean, she was always like the ones that booked the talent to go different places. And did she book all the women?
just her girls. She always said that you won't go anywhere without me. If you leave me and try to go on your own, it's not going to work. And especially you'll never go to New York, she said. I never said I wanted to leave her, but I was glad she said that because I believed her. And but there was other girls on the outside working, but they didn't do as much as we did. We were like in almost every territory. She just had her thumb on everything. So
she
I
did. She
ended up
was
staying with
she was
her probably
very
the longest.
she was a very powerful lady there. What was there another group of girls besides Moolah's, besides your group?
No, no, they
Okay,
just spread
I
out
didn't think
everywhere. They
so.
did
So
their own thing.
it was basically territorial girls like Penny Banner up in Carolina, Bonnie down here in Florida, and whoever out in Oklahoma
Yeah,
and
you had your
Texas.
girls in Florida that worked around Florida. There was some in Tennessee. There's a few out in California because I know there was Mildred Burke was out there before Moolah because Susan Green said she went and worked for Mildred Burke also. So that wasn't too far after I started. So I started in the middle of 75. Um
Did you see the
76.
recent movie with Mildred Burke about Mildred Burke?
No, I didn't get to see it yet.
Oh,
I
okay.
I, I ordered it, but I haven't seen it yet. I ordered that, and I ordered the Von Erichs because I knew them so well. I worked for them a lot and stayed at their home. So
Did
I
you
was
know
too.
Mildred Burke very well?
No, I never got to meet her. I never
Oh,
did. I think she was not active in it. After I started, she wasn't too active in it. I never went near her, but I remember Susan Green saying she went there and worked for her.
yeah. So when you started in the business, the territories were still strong, right then, or basically, or
Yes,
were they starting to transit over into the
I worked in
WWE?
New York probably more than anywhere, but I worked for Bill Watts a lot. I liked working for Bill Watts. I worked for him a lot. I would always ask Moolah, excuse me. I would always ask Moolah to send me to Bill Watts because I like working Bill Watts territory. But that was long trips. Roy Shires, I like working for him and Vern Gagne. Got good payoffs in Vern Gagne because he would pay us, and so I could see what
That,
we
oh,
were.
wait a minute! You hit something very important. That he would pay us. He'd pay the girls direct, like Eddie had a deal with Moolah. When Moolah would book you down there, all the money would go to Moolah. Then Moolah would pay you guys, right? Is
Yes,
that
that was mostly everywhere.
yeah?
Only
That's
Vern
what
Gagne, I
with
think we
Vern.
got our payoff one time. I never knew what money I made. I don't even know what I made on WrestleMania one. She said I made 2,500. I thought back then that was a lot of money for me to have, but then some of the workers told me no, you make at least 5,000 on WrestleMania. Everybody makes at least that. That's the bottom line of the bottom core of your money is 5,000, but she said I made 2,500. So I had to give her, she would take her percentage out of that. Checks I never saw. I never saw checks when they came in. She had signed our names on the back of our checks, almost like we would write them. It'd be a little bit shaky. Um, she had a couple of girls that would help her do that, and her excuse for that was, "It's much easier, hon, for us to the checks all come to me. I can get them all cashed out and put it on the books and show what you owe and what you're getting back." And that was to her easier than waiting for the girls to get home, go cash their checks with them and all that. She did it that way. But The only thing I didn't like was she didn't ever show us our check stubs or anything. She did my taxes. I knew nothing about taxes. She did my
Wow.
taxes. She would, do them. She knew everything I made or however she did. She had a lawyer that did that, that did our taxes most of the time.
Did
Um,
did you trust Moolah?
After just before WrestleMania, I didn't know more. No, I didn't. I don't want to knock her because she's gone now, but she was a very controlling person. I was very intimidated by her. Um, I I I didn't have no control over my money at all. Nothing. I don't know. I know I
Are
made
your bookings
five
right? Are
thousand in
your
WrestleMania
bookings?
10 because I was working for them. I was working for Vince that time, only him and not Moolah. I wasn't going to do 10 because they said Lou was going to referee it. I said, then I'm not going to do it. I don't, if she gets in that ring, she's going to want to start stomping me and she'll do something to make like it's a mistake because she just, she couldn't stand it. The WrestleMania 1, after a while, I figured it out that she couldn't stand it that I was up there and she was down there. I was up there and she was down there. I don't know why she didn't put herself on there to do it. I don't know. She was real powerful like that. She could always get herself on anything she wanted, but WrestleMania, it was a lot of things to go with that. I didn't know any promos. I didn't know how to do a promo. I had to do a promo. This is like the first abuse, one of the first abuses I got from her. We had to do a live promo before WrestleMania 1. It was about probably 20 minutes before I went out there. Mean Gene come in the room and said, "Come on, Leilani, you got to do a promo." And I said, "What's a promo?" I didn't know what a promo. Anyway, I go in there and all of a sudden he just puts me on camera and Mullah's standing there and he asked me something and I said, well, no matter what I do, I'm going to have my hand up in Victor when I get out of the ring or something like that. And when I got off the screen and finished, I was walking away and she ran up to me. She says, "How dare you embarrass me like this? You embarrassed me on the biggest event ever that I've ever been on. And I trusted you to do a good job. You get up there and talk like some squealing old monkey or something like that." I mean, she was mad and I didn't know what I did wrong. I know I said Victor instead of victory, but I didn't know what she could have been mad about. I had no clue what I was even talking about. I was trying real hard and I was scared. And it was my first time being in front of a camera and that I can remember. I worked quite a while before then, but to get in front of a camera live like that, it was very scary. And I didn't know really what to say. And I just said what came to mind. And I said one word wrong and she went off on me about that. She went off on me about little things like that sometimes. I guess she expected me to do better or thought I could. I don't know. Just when
And
you're green, you're green.
is that where
You
you're
do things, you say things stupid and everything. I mean,
and is that where you guys had a falling out? Was that where you guys kind of separated somewhat after WrestleMania?
what? Yes, it wasn't really the same after that. There's a few things before that happened, but that was like the limit because I didn't ask her to be on that. She made it look like I should be appreciative, and I didn't really. It didn't really matter. Wrestling was wrestling. Any arena with 5 people, 10 people, it didn't matter. I'm going to do my best, but I wasn't concerned because I was on there with her, and she wasn't on the top up there being having the match. I don't know. I was pretty green back then. Once I got on the road and I got away from her a little bit, then I realized I'm miserable with her. I didn't want to. I didn't want her on the road with us at
How
all.
did that separation come? You kind of gave us a clue there at WrestleMania, but when you finally said
The
Moolah,
separation came when
how did you face her and say, Moolah, I'm not working for you anymore? How did that
no,
go
it
down?
wasn't like that. We okay, just before the Glamour Girls. Um, Vince had said something. Pat said, "Well, we're just gonna we're going to lay off the girls for a while, especially Moolah. Just too much was going on, and I think Vince wanted to take a break from the girls. So Judy and I talked about we need to change our image a little bit. It was just kind of drabby. We wanted to brighten it up. And since we're heels and we're not divas or look like beauty queens, we look like, ladies, women, so we just wanted to look plain. So we wanted to dress it up a little bit and be heels as, doing something real sassy and be a heel at it and try it. And that's something that just I did real well. I did the Glamour Girls so well. And it was easy. And she made an appointment to go see Vince McMahon at his office for all three of us. And that's how everything started of a separation. We go up there. She tells Vince, I want to manage Leilani and Judy, but we got to think of something we could do where I can manage them. Because she was trying anything she could because he wasn't using the girls. And he stood there and he looked at Judy and I, and we both had our heads down. We were so scared. I didn't know what to say to him. I didn't want to mention about the Glamour Girls. So we had the idea along with Jimmy. Jimmy Hart thought of a lot of it. And we wanted him to be our manager. And at first I wanted Joel Gertner, but, because he had a real loud mouth, so I really liked him. But then Judy said, no, Jimmy would be good. Jimmy shines. He'll be good. He could wear the same things we wear. He's visible. He looks good. He'll look good with us. I said, okay. So Vince knew, I think he knew that we wanted to tell him how we felt and what we had in mind. But Moolah was just right over us, telling him and talking to him. And he said, he looked at us. I could tell he was waiting for us to say something, but we couldn't. We just couldn't talk. And finally, when it was over with, we were so disappointed. So he took us out, out of the room and walked us out to the hallway. We were leaving. And he said, ladies, I'll see you soon. You're at TV, right? And Judy said, yes, sir, we are. And so we were at TV 3 or 4 days later. Moolah wasn't there. So Pat come to the dressing room, Pat Patterson. He says, Vince wants to know the idea that you and Judy had when you were at his office. Can you tell me what it is? And Judy got on her hands and knees. She crawled to him. She says, we want to do this thing called the Glamour Girls. We're going to dress up in gold and black. She was like the leader of everything. She told him everything. And he said, wow, that's good. He said, goes back, talks to Vince. And about 10 minutes later, comes back and says, Vince says, we're going to do it. And we're going to give you both each $1,000 to get your outfits, your hair done. And we're going to do it in 2 days or something. And I said, wow. We hadn't had no outfits made or anything yet. It was like a week later. He said, I'm going to debut on TV. And we told him about the Bomb Angels, and he brought them over. He asked us which Japanese girls. He liked the Japanese wrestling. So he said, which ones you think that would be good for you both to start with? And we picked the Bomb Angels because they're real feminine. They were easy for us to work. They're baby faces. Most of the girls were always heels or something, but these two were baby faces. I knew that we'd work good with them. Our first debut, we were all fixed up. Our hair was done and all. And Vince goes, wow. When we walked out, he said, what a change, So we did our interview and did our first match, and it got over really, really well.
So
and
your promo had improved a lot by then. Now I take it.
Yes. Well, we had Jimmy, but our promos, I did before that, a lot before that. But that's the last part of my career. So we did work for about, I guess, a little over a year. And Vince said, well, I think that you both worked so well, the four of you. I'd like to put you on a match on WrestleMania. I don't know what number it was or whatever, but I know the next one coming up, he was going to put us on there. So I love that. So he said, I think I'm going to send you to Japan, the four of you, so you can practice for WrestleMania. I want you just to practice for WrestleMania, and says, if they don't want to, pay y'all, then I'll pay you to be over there. But they did. We went over there and worked. And so Moolah calls. She calls and Judy answers the phone. And she says, huh? They decided that they want you to switch the belts over there in Japan. We're supposed to switch from them to us in WrestleMania. And she said, the office wants you to switch the belts over there. And then when you get back, I need you to bring the belts to me because I have to get them cleaned. And these are actually her belts, that The NWA belts is what ones we used. We didn't have WWF belts. We had NWA belts, and that's what we used on WWF. We didn't ever have any belts made, and she wanted those belts back. So we were kind of confused because we had everything set for WrestleMania, our match, and everything is all ready. So when we did our match and went over on them, it didn't get over. It was real hard. It didn't seem right. It just was not a good match. I didn't like the match very much. And 2 days later, Pat calls and tells Judy, I can't believe the girls went over our heads like that and just did what the hell you wanted to do and just switched the belts because you're so greedy and needed them that bad to get them back around you. And we're like, no, that's not what happened. Mula called, said she was at the office and that she wanted to switch them over there. So she got her last laugh like she always did. And got her belts back and ruined our career as glamour girls. So that was when I was just last. I said, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done. I don't think I could work anywhere else without her booking me over there. I can't, I didn't know how to book myself. I could have, but I didn't know how. I was just done. I said, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. And so I was off for a while. We worked for a thing called LPWA in Vegas. Few months, and that was about it. And about a year later, they called and asked me if I would do a match with Alondra. And I kind of wanted to. I like working Alondra. I like Alondra. She was a good leader on the road with me. I could work with her and not worry. She would just kind of lead me. I wasn't really into it anymore like it used to be. So. But she ruined my last part of my career of the glamour girls, and that I thought that would be hot for a couple of years, and we could do that because we were in shape, and I knew he was doing the gimmick right, and she just had her last
It's
word.
still an iconic duo.
WrestleMania 10,
with
looking
you
at
two.
me like with a smile.
You guys though, you and the Jumping Bomb Angels, you guys did a great business in Japan though, right? I mean, you guys sold out the Jumping Bomb Angels were selling out huge arenas over there. I mean, you guys were absolutely on fire, right?
We were on fire over there, but after they got
You were selling out huge arenas over there. You were
yes. Well,
you
we
guys were
sell
doing great.
Kind of all their girls were good. Every one of them were good. They were all stars because they're girls over there. I think they have to train for 3 years. They don't get no TV or anything. They train for 3 years. They wait on the older girls hand and foot, wash their clothes, put the ring up, take the ring down. And I did it a few times with them. I did it a couple of times just to get the practice of it. But that's then after about 3 years you're put on TV and you roll yourself up to the ladder, and that's how they did over there at that time. They did for that group. It was four men that owned it, so they ran it pretty good. They were strict with the girls. They're real strict, but they were good, and they exercised like crazy. They make them run, and they'd ride beside them in their car, running about 2 or 3 miles sometimes every day, and training. But all their girls were good. All of them. They were easy to work with.
Leilani, what happened with the women's wrestling? Say, because in the '80s it was so big. You guys in the Jumping Bomb Angels were selling out huge arenas. Was it just the lack of star power for the '90s? Because it seemed like it kind of fell off a little bit after you guys. And you had Alundra, you had Bull Nakano, you had several great stars, but you didn't have the whole group of stars.
After we came back from Japan and got the belts back and did the complete wrong thing, that's when they said no more girls for a while. I don't think they used girls for like a year. They brought in like a couple of ballets, to work in the ring, but they stopped the girl wrestling for quite a while after that happened. So it kind of slowed down. After that, I don't know what they did. After WrestleMania 4, I don't know how girls did up in New York, if they still went up there or not. I'm not sure. So, yeah. The years 89, 90, I slowed down a lot. 90, I slowed down. 92, I quit completely until I went back to WrestleMania 94. And I did a little bit there. I did that match when I was overseas and worked. And I did a little bit maybe after that. I would go to some events and help get the flyers up, or help them at their event, or manage somebody, just to be there to help out and keep active at it a little bit. But I lost all kinds of interest. My life
Now,
was
who was
not on my own.
who was booking you girls at the time? Because when you left Mula, did you guys try to book yourselves, or did Judy
Oh,
try
I
to?
got here and there bookings a little bit. I don't know about everybody else,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I didn't
So
work for Muller no
so
more
so
after WrestleMania 10.
Mola, you just completely, for lack of a better word, divorced yourself from Mola's
When
organization.
she called over there in Japan, she lost herself a lot of money when she
Did you?
did that. And she called Vince, she called us and told us to switch the belts. The office said so. And they didn't believe us when she told us that. They didn't believe us at first. And said, we're just disappointed in you two ladies for not, just doing
Okay,
what you
that
want to
that's
do.
that, you got me a little confused there, which is not hard to do. But you guys are going to Japan on your own, and you're doing this
I didn't
with the
go to Japan
bomber
on my own. I went to Japan for events the last time.
for Vince. Okay, but
But yeah, for
How did
he went
Moolah
over
get
there to
involved?
work
She just
for
she
WrestleMania. And I'm sure he told Moolah that he was paying Moolah every week, I think $1,000 a week to keep us under his contract. So we got our own money. I never made that much money in my life. That was the only year I made really, really money. I was making, I think our guarantee was 2,500 a week if we worked or not. He kept us for like a year and 2 months, 2,500 a week. If we worked one day, if we didn't work, it was a salary. And he said, this is salary you'll be getting if you work or you don't work. You do pay-per-views, you're still going to get $2,500 a week. You're not going to get no extra. It's $2,500 a week. That's what he paid us for quite a while on our own. And he paid her to have us. And he told her probably that we're going to be on WrestleMania. We're going to switch the belts at WrestleMania. And she's not there, so she wanted to ruin it. And I wish I can forgive her, and I shouldn't talk about her like this. And but so she's not here to defend herself. I'm not going to say a lot of things she did, but when it came to my career, it messed it up pretty bad. I could have worked here and there, but I was already in my late 30s or my early 40s, and I was finished. I was kind of done. I did a little bit here and there since to now. I haven't worked in about 15 years. I haven't been into like even walking anybody to the ring or anything. I haven't done anything. When I got like 42, I think I quit completely. But WrestleMania, you know, 10, that was it. That was the last time I even seen her. And I bumped into her in the elevator. I hadn't seen her at WrestleMania 10, but I saw her ringside. I told him I wasn't going to work with Alondra if she gets in the ring with me because I know her. I know what she would have tried to do. So nobody else knew her. You couldn't really say anything back then. Nobody ever really said much what was going on. It was kind of hard, but that was my last real event was WrestleMania 10.
So did
And
Moolah control most of the women's wrestling?
from her respective, yes. From her girls, yes. She controlled it.
But
Nobody
her girls were
we
most
couldn't
of the
even
girls,
go
right?
to a booking on our own. If we booked ourselves and go, no, that didn't work. You couldn't do that. You only from her, only if she booked you. Sure, you can. Sure, I could have said, Mr. Watts, can I come work for you for a couple of weeks? No, I couldn't do that. It had to be from her. And
Because
all our
if you went
checks
on,
and money went to her. And if she told you you made $100 for that event in New York or wherever you were at, that's what you get. You get your she gets her 25% out of that, and then you get the rest after the transportation's taken out, the hotel's taken out. This didn't have nothing, didn't really make much. I think we all made some money, but I don't know how much. I just know that I did real well in '88. That's the
did
first
you
time I've
do,
seen
do
my
you
own money, and I made money. I made some money. I was able to buy some property, and I made money.
yeah.
That was the
do you
only
go
time I really made it, unless I went to
do,
Japan.
Do you know if the other girls were making more money or less money, or were you
No, we
guys
all
all
made the
all on
same.
the kind of same payroll?
No, we all made the same. If we four went to an event, we all made the same money and went to Mula. They all sent to Mula. We get home, and when she felt like it, she'd say, "Oh, come down. I got some money for you, hon." Go down there, and she'd say, "Okay, this is what you made for the week. 1,500 for the week. This is my percentage, 25%. Well, first it was 30%. And then she'd say, "Okay, I gave you money for your hotel. I gave you money for your food because you couldn't work any other job. You have time to. I didn't." And I would come sometimes home with $26 or maybe $100. Just 5 cents a mile when you traveled with her. So going to New York and riding around everywhere. And one other thing that I noticed that happened one time, and I'm not doing it to knock her, but it's something that really happened. It's the truth. Um, I think it was Velvet McIntyre that was with me. I'm not quite sure, but I remember we were listening in the other room. We were putting her ear against the wall because she was in there with Arnold Skolin, and because he come in and said, "I want to pay girls some trans money," and she said, "Let's go in the other room and do the business." So we press up against it. And I remember him saying 150 for each girl for the week, towards some trans money, which is pretty good back then. And so we get home, and she checks up with us, and she says, "Okay, your hotels when we were on the road was this," and we split it four because we all put four bills in a room. We split it by four. Your food money I had to give you, because that's the only thing we had was our wrestling money, what we had left over to go on the road the next time, which is not very much. I know it's hard for anyone to believe. You girls had to make money. Yeah, well, when you got somebody controlling your money, nothing you can do. And so she said, and the office gave us $50 a week for trans for each girl. So that made her make 100 off of me, 100 off of I think it was Velvet and Winona Littleheart. I'm not quite sure, but I went back and told them, well, she got 100 off each one of us. So we got $50 for trans for the week and the next week. So it was $100 transfers for 2 weeks. So she made one, two, three, four, five, $600 extra besides her 150 she got. And I couldn't say to her, "Well, I heard him tell you it was $150. I mean, I heard him say that. You can hear it so good. I mean, $150. Why would they give $50? That's dumb. $50 for the week. That's not nothing. But 150 was decent. And I couldn't say that to her. I couldn't ask her about it. I just had to swallow it and leave. And sometimes you go up there, you still owed her money.
Wow.
I just couldn't. Japan was where I went where I would always beg her, "Please send me to Japan." I would beg him in Japan, "Please ask for me." So I'd go every other trip instead of once or twice a year. I went every other trip, and that way I was free over there. I got free to go do what I wanted to. I had food money with me, and they paid me my money whenever I left, and to send hers to her. So I would stop in Hawaii, take me a vacation. Uh, Sometimes I take a vacation, go to New Zealand, and take a vacation with a promoter over there because he ran a bunch of horse racing over there, and I'd go over there and bring him a bunch of booze. Bring him because you can't get it over there for some reason, boozy light. But that was my fun time. My only time I had a good time is when I went to Japan and come back. I have some money on me, but it was just hard back then. It was hard times, but if you really loved it, you stuck with it, and I did. I stayed poor for so long, and I don't know how many workers would, we sitting on the steps of a hotel, and I think of this. Walt Smillings come up one time, offer, and he said, "Lay, what are you sitting out here for? You and whoever I was with." I said, "Well, because we haven't got money to get in a motel. We ain't got enough money for a hotel." I said, "We didn't get an advance last night. We were too afraid to get an advance. A little fuss about us getting advances, and especially if it's too much. But we didn't get no advance. So we can get a room for the night." And he got our room for us. And it's a couple of times guys have done that. Sergeant Slaughter did it one time. He got us a ring because we didn't have money for a ring. Sad.
Have you
But
talked
that's
to
a
somebody?
hard time for everybody back then. It was like that for the guys too, but just especially the girls because you had somebody controlling your life.
Have you talked to the girls? Since the time with Moolah was over. Have you talked to the girls about it later? About, hey, we went through some really rough stuff because of one person. Have you talked with the other girls about this?
Um, no, we don't. I talk about it sometimes if I'm with Judy and a couple of the other girls. Yeah, we talk about it. I have to talk about it. I always bring it up, But uh, a lot of them are gone now. Most of all the
Sure.
girls that were with me back then, they're gone now. One just passed away last week. It's most of them are gone in my era. And I always took care of myself. I didn't do drugs, drink, and all that. I took care of myself. So, and I'm almost 69, so I try to take care of myself. But
After say 94, 95, then you end up working for a short time with WCW, right?
yes, with Medusa. Yes, I did. I didn't know what year that was. That was after WrestleMania 10. Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
I made my own money. Yes. Yeah. It was better. It was
Yeah,
it
because
was
I
it
saw I
was
saw an interview you did, and you think about the same of Vince Russo that I do.
uh oh.
Way to go,
I
John.
shouldn't have been so blunt talking about him like I did like that, but
That's
I
okay.
didn't really know him, but I just remember the face and yeah, WCW. Yeah, that was for that was after the Moolah thing, yeah. Yes. They wanted me to get in the mud that night, and I was there to work with somebody. She was there, and they said, "We want you to get in the mud with four guys." Come up and told me this, and I'm pretty sure Russo was right there. I think he was. It was in the catering room where everybody's eating, and I remember Brett was sitting at the other table. He was just looking, and a few others were in there, and four of them come up to me. I'm sure Russo was one of them. So we're going to put you in the mud tonight with Elizabeth and Lex Luger. And I said, "Excuse me?" And so we're going to put you in the mud. I said, "Ain't nobody going to." I said, "There ain't nobody gonna put me in no mud. I'm not gonna wall around like no pig and no mud." I said, one of the girl wrestlers got, used to do mud wrestling. I said, and she got paralyzed from doing that. There's no way I'm gonna get no mud. I said, I can just imagine my name after I get in the mud. I said, I've made established my name so far. I'm not real popular, but I established my name. But why should I go and get in the mud? I said, I'll never hear the end of it. I'm smart enough to know that. So just arguing. And then, well, you need to do what you're told. You're here. And I said, I said, I just said it real loud. If you, I said, I'm not going to get in no mud. I said, I'll just take my ticket and I'll just head on back home, so they didn't put me in my match. And I stormed out of there. I went in my dressing room, got my stuff, and I stormed out. I said, well, I won't never work for WCW again. It didn't matter to me anyway.
But
And
it didn't
it
matter
was,
much anyway. They were extinct about a year later, so it didn't matter.
yes, I liked it at first because I like being around Medusa. We did like Universal Studios where you have a match and then they pull the people out and pour more in.
Yeah,
No, we
Medusa's great. I love Medusa.
yeah, yeah, we had fun on the road. She would always lead me around. We went overseas, and I would always follow her. So I had fun working with Medusa, but I liked all the girls. There's not any of them I didn't like. I just didn't care for Moolah very much. She wasn't my
John.
friend. I wanted her to like me. And the more I went to work and the more I got asked for, the more she hated me. I just felt like she hated me because most promoters would call and say, what girls do you have available? Or they would say, I want, say a name, Richter, and I want Kai. And then she'd say, well, Kai's out somewhere else on that date because she was trying to get other girls booked. And that would be like that for other girls too, not just me. I just seen her do that with a couple girls before. They'd be there and be off on that time, and they worked so good they wanted them back. She would try to switch it over to somebody else to be able to go and tell them that that girl was booked. So I've seen her do that a couple of times. But
Lelani, John and I both have our favorite opponents that we really enjoyed working with. During your time, you had so many talented ladies out there in the ring. Who was your favorite to work? I know it's hard. It's kind of like you could name your Mount Rushmore, but who
well,
were some of the favorite matches that you had out there?
well, of course, Florida Championship Wrestling, because that was my heart. Anybody that was in Florida Championship Wrestling, I liked it.
Did
I
you get
like
to work with Bonnie a lot? Because Bonnie was the staple down there.
Bonnie. No, I never got to work with Bonnie. I only got to meet her. I met Sherry.
Yeah.
She would come to the luncheon. Um, I didn't get to meet her then, but I know that when I saw them, that's what I wanted to do. Um, uh, which wrestler? Well, I have to say, as far as a wrestler and prestige, I would have to say Steven Regal. I really liked Steven Regal. When I would really watch it, I'd want to watch him because I wanted to be just like him. He was so smooth and he made it look so easy. And I just watch him and watch him. He just entertained me. He was just one of them that I really liked. I liked the Heart Foundation. Um, the God, I liked everybody.
With the girls, who was your favorite opponent that you were sharing?
Velvet McIntyre.
With?
Um, I like doing the spot with Wendy with Cindy. That was fun. If I was by myself, it was. Um, definitely not working with Medusa.
The
Uh,
the the, the Chrysatellos, the Tony Roses, and the girls like that, they were basically gone when you were started in the business, weren't they?
Tony and Donna weren't gone. Donna was around, but she just worked occasionally at this time. Tony didn't work much anymore. I worked as a partner with Tony, and Tony actually is still alive. She's living by
Is she?
herself. She's doing good. She lives in
Where she?
Columbia
Where
near
she?
Susan Green.
Where she
Donna's
live?
gone.
Where she live?
Huh?
Where's Tony live?
She lives in Columbia.
Does she? Yeah.
She lives by herself in Columbia. And her and Susan hang out. And when Susan has a chance to be with her, there's not too many that's around anymore. I
Right.
like working with the Princess Victoria and Velvet McIntyre as a tag team. I like working with them a lot. And the Bomb Angels.
Is there any girls that you see now on today's TV when you do watch it? Because you probably like John and I, you're not a steady watcher, but every once in a while you do. Is there any girls that you, man, I would really like to work with this lady?
Chelsea Green, um, Natty Neinhart, Rhea Ripley, and Io. I think Io is probably the best worker today for women's. Io Sky. I love her work. Um, uh, I think she's doing real good. I think she's the best wrestler at the moment, and they're all good. I love to go at NXT. I have to ask them. I have to call them and say, please let me go to NXT, and they usually let me go. Sometimes they tell me no, but NXT. I love going to watch the girls that are in the school now. I want to go to the performance center really bad and just work there as a coach. I want to be a mentor so bad. It's like my last part of my life I want to do is be a coach and teach the knowledge that I learned through the years. Even though they work a lot better now than I did when I was, in my prime, their work is so good. I
So,
haven't
so
seen
you, oh,
one bad match. I just love them all.
you're enjoying today's style of women's wrestling,
Oh,
then.
yes, I'm enjoying it. Yeah. Yes, I
Good.
am.
Do you?
I am too. I think it's an all-time best. I really,
Yes.
really do. I got
Yeah, I do
The
too.
coach
And
they have
Lana, do you
really,
look
really
back?
good.
Do you look back and look at it and think, you were part of WrestleMania 1. You were part of the Jumping Bomb Angels and the biggest explosion of women's wrestling in Japanese history. That's pretty cool. You're part of the two biggest
I'll
two of
say.
the biggest moments in wrestling history. Do you look back and go, yeah, that's kind of cool?
Yeah, it's kind of cool because I was on WrestleMania 1 and 10 And Super Survivor Series, I was on the first one. The Royal Rumble, I was on the first one. So I was pretty lucky. I was lucky to be on those and to have the TV exposure I had. That's why I'm at where I'm at now. It's not everybody got to do that. And if it had been somebody else, it would have been somebody else, But if you have TV exposure, then you're very lucky. We have 1 minute of it, so yeah, but I always will believe it's a man's world, and I always
It's not
respect.
anymore. Wait a minute. I'll disagree
I
with
know
you.
it's still in my head. I feel like it's still kind of a man's world. It's where it started. I started, it was just a man's world, and I got my little spot, and I stayed in my little spot. I didn't try to outdo anybody, or I was just did what I was told, and I wanted
But
to
what
be
you're saying,
liked.
it's a man's world, but people like you that made it your world for a period of time there. So you were as equal as any man in the ring during that time frame, Lelani. You guys were talented young ladies. So
I was always told I worked like a guy. I work real light though. You can't feel what I did, but I was always told you work like one of the boys. I said, "Oh, thank you. That really I should have been a boy." So but I love and respect the workers, the male in the business. I don't try to go over their head at all. No. Up in New York, being in WrestleMania is a privilege. That is like such a privilege. After my first time there, I thought, darn, that's a privilege to have even 1 minute TV as
So
much
as
as
as the years go by, I mean, in the beginning, well, it's just another big event. It's just another event, and it's blah blah blah, all that stuff. But as the years will go by, you could really sit back and appreciate after what are we on WrestleMania 42 or 43 now, and say, you know what, guys, I was part of number one there, and you can't replace that. So you got to have a lot of pride in
I always have fun. I loved it, no matter if I was broke or hurt. And WrestleMania 10, I had gotten burned by uh, a grill like 2 weeks before that, and I was raw, so I had to wear all black, and my hair was singed. So I tried to roll it, they fix it, and it turned into real frizzy like a lion's mane. I just looked so terrible, and I was burnt from my forehead down my face on the left side, down my side, so my outfit was sticking to the burnt parts. I had cream on, but I thought maybe I could get through the match
that.
um doing that without being in too much pain. And I was burnt so bad. I think it was like 3rd-degree burns in a lot of places because this gas grill had burned up when we were having a cookout. And I ended up having to do WrestleMania, with the not even myself. I had a Japanese wedding gown on, and I had to wear black from my neck down because I was burnt so bad. But I got through the match. It was painful, but I got through it, and I had 12 minutes at first, and then I was told to go 5 minutes, which was even better. And but uh, I got through the match though. That was I got in the elevator, and there was myself, Moolah. I got in the elevator with Moolah, Mae Young, and Diamond Lil, which was her name was Katie. And I was with Owen Hart and his wife, and I was going to take a taxi with them to the airport together. And Moolah said to me, it's the last words she said to me, I want you to know that you would have not been Leilani Cara, been anywhere without me. Your name is like you are. You got booked like you are because of me. You wouldn't have gone nowhere without me. And I told her, I said, yes. I said, you're right. I said, I wouldn't have gotten anywhere without you. And it's true, I mean, she did get me a lot of places, that got me a lot of TV, that was her that did that, not me. And I'm grateful for that. I said, but I said, no one had to beg Vince McMahon to be on WrestleMania 10. I said, actually, they kept asking me. I said, that's what's so strange. And so she just like looked at me, and didn't say nothing. I said, I got on this event because they called and they wanted me to work with Alondra. I said, and they asked me several times. I'm just surprised that they didn't, um, because you had to beg Vince for me to be on the first one. I mean, I had to bring that up. I did, but I knew I wasn't going to see her no more.
You
But
got
we
to
kind of
though.
got a little bit of a tip. It probably embarrassed her a little bit. She was just kind of a little bit nasty, but that was my last time to see her. Just want you to know. I said, yeah, you're right. You're right. You got me where I was at, and I got a lot of places, and I'm grateful for that. But I just can't understand why, that Vince had to be begged to have me on the event, on WrestleMania 10. I must have been somewhat good from the beginning, but I think it had a lot to do with the laundry. I think she wanted me to work with her, so I'd already worked with her some and all. She might have had some say into it, but
Yeah.
I know they
You
called me.
you mentioned a name earlier in this conversation that favorite to just about every fan out there as far as women wrestling go, Mae Young. What type of person was Mae when you were getting into the business? Because we saw her when she was had some age on her a little
um
bit, and
Mae Young, I hadn't lived at Mullah's for a while. Mae Young lived at Mullah's house. Um, I hadn't really met her, talked to her. That was the first time I ever met her, was in that elevator. But about a year later, well, just before she passed away, Judy, I was visiting Judy in Columbia, South Carolina, and she said, let's go see Mae Young. So we went to Mae Young's house. She had Katie, the Diamond Lil, living there, because when Moolah passed away, she didn't leave a will for Katie to have somewhere to go or money or anything. Katie was just kind of like thrown out of the house. Her daughter told her they'd have to leave. So Mae Young, I think she bought a couple small houses and put Katie in one with her, and had another one she rented out. And Katie was allowed to stay in that house until she passes. So she's still there now today, but I think she's under care right now. She's on a walker. She's under care right now, but she's still in Mae Young's house. She left it to Katie to live in. And when something happens to Katie, then it would go to her nephew. But she at least got Katie a place to live. She seems to be a very nice person. Um, she was around Moolah all the time. She lived at Moolah's, so but I didn't really get to ever talk to her much. But we went over there to see Mae, and she was blind at this time. She couldn't see. And I didn't want her to know it was me there. So I told Judy to call me Lisa or somebody else. Don't call me by my name, because I'm sure Moolah talked about me a lot to her. No telling, she probably didn't like me. It's just the way it was. So Moolah loved to talk about the girls. So um, but I got to talk to her, and I pretend like it was somebody else. And she said, you see this right here? This is my ring. She said, Vince and Stephanie McMahon told me when I turn 100 years old, I get to get in the ring. They're going to let me still get in the ring or something like that.
that's a true
Something
story.
like that. Yeah, she said that they told her when she turns 100, they'll let her get in the ring. So I don't know from
And
what
she
or
was
when.
what? She made it to 99, didn't she? Right up there.
Yeah, she made it to 99. She did. She is, from what I know, she was a good person. So
Hey,
anyway, she took care of Katie, because Moolah didn't do anything to help her, because Katie lived with Moolah since I was there. It was like her child. So
Lelena, think about this. If the Briscoes don't stop and ask a young teenager for directions, none of this happens. So this
no,
is all the Briscoes' fault.
no, I was a cowgirl then. It wouldn't happen. Yeah,
That's
but
right.
that. I think about that sometime, but that's true though. It's the first wrestlers I ever laid my eyes on, and I looked in that car, and the car was gold color, and they both had a beautiful smile, and they looked at me, and they were so sweet. So just could give us
Oh my
directions.
goodness.
Thank you.
I just
I'm
loved
sweet.
it.
You
So,
hear that, John? I'm a sweet guy.
It
I
must have been somebody else. It must have
well,
been Steve Kern.
I told my foster family, so I just saw two wrestlers. I said they're so good looking. They look like
Oh
they're
my
eating.
goodness.
Yeah, they're so good looking. I was excited. Then I said I want to go to wrestling. They said, no, honey, you can't be doing that. You don't need to be going places like that. But I ended up going. I did. And I
Of
saw
course.
two lady wrestlers. If I would have seen them, it was just like it was meant to be. I was meant to be in the business, and I love
Are
it,
you
and I love
are you
all
happy? Are
my.
you happy with your legacy and the business?
Yes, yes, I am. I went through a lot of heartaches, a lot, and I was hungry a lot of times, but I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. I love now just teaching students. That's all I care about. I got 3 students that I keep my eye on, that I try to push and try to help. And one is named one is Serena Bell. She goes like a bat girl. She's only like 20. She works out. She looks good. She wrestles good. She not married. She's serious about her wrestling. Anybody that's real serious, I try to help. And there's another one that I've helped about 10 years. Her name's Tatovic. Um, she she wrestles here and there when she can, but she's a very intelligent young lady. She went to college. She's an actress. She can sing, she can dance, and she's, I think, 3rd degree in black belt. But she could do those nunchucks 100 miles an hour. She's one that I told her, I said, you need to do a ninja, gimmick. You need to do ninja because I know it will get over. I just know, I know ahead in the future. If I see somebody, I say, this person should do this and do it this way, and it'll get over. I know, already know. And then there's one named Luke Fury. I've known him since he was a baby. He's my nephew, and he's 18. He's been wrestling 2 years. He's really, really very good, and very. He goes to these events. He puts the ring up, takes it down, helps the other folks in the back. He tells them what high spots to do. I mean, only 18 years old, but he's so devoted to it. And I love him so much. And I want to see him, get somewhere. I want to see him get to the school, hopefully someday. And, but I just like helping students. I just want to go and work with students. That's all I care about. That's what I want to do. I don't care about money and all that. I just want to help the students. And I took what WWF gave me because they called me at the hospital when I got my surgery. And I never thought I would ever be around wrestling again. They called me while I was in the hospital. And it was the next day after my surgery. So I was kind of, bogged up. And Ben Brown called. I tried to say his name the other day when I was talking with I was talking in an interview the other day, and I tried to say Ben Brown's name, and I kind of forgot, but I remember it now. But he called me, and he was real sweet, and he told me that Paul said that they would like me. He would like me to come join the family. WWE would say, "Can you come join our family? We'd like to sign you up," and I was stunned. I was so stunned, and I didn't know what to say. I was on I was on medicine. I was on heavy duty medicine. So I know it had to be a real good conversation when I was talking to him because I don't remember it. I must have said some weird things. I had to when I was on that, after surgery. It was about 8 hours after my surgery when I talked to him. So, but he says, we want to know if you need any help, if you need any bills paid. How about the hospital? Are you okay with the hospital bills? And I'm like, yes, I got insurance. I couldn't believe they asked me that. I thought that I was going to wake up from a dream that was real, but he was so sweet. And I said, well, the only thing I've ever thought about was I never had any merchandise ever in my life. Not one little thing in 50 years, no merchandise. The only one on WrestleMania that never had no merchandise. I'm like, wow, I must never gonna have it. I worked my butt off. I was devoted and I loved it, and I just never had no merchandise, and I always wanted that, and so he told me, he says, well, we're going to do that. We're going to do the merchandise. We're going to get you started being with us for a good while. So I'm under contract with him for 5 years and hopefully longer. I'm going to do my best, the best I can. I go to NXT when I can. I'll ask them and they'll bring me in, and I like to watch the girls. And I just watch them. I try to learn their names. I watch all the matches. All the matches. I watch everything. If I don't watch Raw, NXT is my favorite. But because I love Shawn Michaels. So if I don't, watch Raw. I'll tape it. I'll tape everything. I'll watch it eventually. Especially I was in the hospital for I was in the hospital 2 months, and they put me a TV in there to kind of I can put tapes in, and a not VCR, a DVD player, and I was able to watch wrestling in there. I wanted to, since I had to stand. I said, "I want to watch wrestling. I don't want TV. I want wrestling." So they set me up where I could watch wrestling there. My doctor did, so I had a good time in the hospital. So I got to catch up on everything. That's when I really caught up on everything. I thought, my God, these girls are so good. I hadn't seen one bad match. I might see one or two things I could say, well, maybe you should do it this way, be better. But I'm just dying to go to that school. I want to go there and work
you
there
should
so
be there
bad.
with your history. With your history, you should be. Is there any way that the promoter? I know we mentioned earlier. You and I did a signing over in Lutz, Florida, not too far from both of our home. Is there any way that promoters can reach you to do more of these things? And are you out there? Are you ready to jump in and do more of these things?
Well, my partner, Steve Stasiak, he has a book, ProWrestlers.net. He has a book, Pro Wrestlers, and sometimes they'll call, and or they'll write and they'll ask for certain women like myself or Wendy or Judy or anybody like that. That's how they can reach me. But I can be reached on um Facebook at the real Leilani Kai, which is my fan page. That's when I'm on the most.
Okay.
So that's how I can get booked if someone wants to book me for anything. But yeah, I got a few coming up here and there. So most just like signings. Anything I see girls are going to be at, I try to go just on my own, and I'll pay to get in too because that's their payoff. So so I just like to go watch girls. I like watching any kind of students, guys too. But I just love it so much. I love the teaching, the learning of it, and I just want to teach so bad. I never want anything so much in my life as wanting to be a coach. But I just sit here at my house and daydream and watch it on TV. And I'm retired, I saved my money. And so I put my money into trying to go to these events and watching the girls and staying over, renting a car. I rented a
That's
car.
the best thing. The best
South
thing that you've
Carolina.
said during this conversation is you've saved your money and you invested it well. You invested it in properties, and that's congratulations. A lot of guys and girls don't do either one of them. So I'm
Well,
really
WWE
proud
took
of you
care of
doing that.
me when they signed me up, ahead of time. And I know I'm going to have merchandise come out. My T-shirts came out. I didn't even know about it, and they were already sold out. They were already sold out there. And I tried to get one out of Walmart to order, and the extra large was already sold out. I'm like, wow! I can imagine my figures might, do good. Maybe, hopefully, I think Lambert girls will do good. But people are always bugging me about the figures, always, uh, all the time. So maybe they'll do good, not ever having one. I hope, but
Lelani,
I've always loved it. It's been my family since 75. I've with them 30 years, and then 75 until 95, and then last September to now. So I'm real happy. I feel so fortunate. You know, they believe in me. They told me that, they appreciated me and everything I'd done. And I just never had that told to me before, and I didn't feel that way when I worked for Mula. A lot of girls worked hard. Most of us all worked alike, but I wanted to forward myself. I wanted to make myself better. I didn't want to stay in the same rut of wrestling. I wanted to learn to wrestle. I learned to wrestle. I got to be with Carl Gotch for 2 days, and he don't like women wrestlers, but he work out. He said, well, I'm going to help you a little bit because I see how serious you are, and I've seen you work. So I'm going to help you out a little bit. So I stayed in with it, and he helped me out a little bit.
I heard you beat up Jody Malenko during that.
Who?
we
I
heard you
heard
did.
that
We heard you beat
that
up Jody
you beat
Malenko.
up Jody
We're very
Malenko.
proud of you.
Yeah.
When?
Just say
Are you
yes.
doing
Just
this,
say
Jerry,
Just say
to
yes. Just say
aggravate
yes.
Just
Joe?
say yes. Well, yes,
Yeah,
I
just
did.
say yes.
Okay. Yes. He's
Yeah,
Awesome.
terrific.
gotta kill me. He lives here too, I see him sometimes.
Jody's a good friend of ours. Matter of fact, me and Jody are John's coach.
That's right.
We're the best coaches he's ever had.
They're the most smart ass coaches you've ever seen in your life. They're terrible. Well,
I just can't wait to start.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's such a pleasure to talk to you. It's such a pleasure to see. When Mr. Brisco told me that we were going to have you, I was so excited, and it's such a thrill to see you. So thank you so much for coming on and spending time with us.
You're welcome. And all to your listeners too. I'm so glad I got to do this. I've been asked several times, but the way my schedule runs, I just didn't want to take time, I guess, to say okay. But Jerry said something the other day. I said, okay, I'll go ahead and do it.
Well, I had to embarrass her in front of Wendy because Wendy came on right away. And this is the third time that we've attempted to have Leilani on. And each time something comes up and Leilani said, I can't do it now. But she always gave me a fair warning on it. But
well, it's because
when I embarrassed her in front of Wendy, she had to say yes this time.
Well, it's because I forget so easily. I forget names. I forget places or stories. I got so many wild stories.
How can you forget me? I got that beautiful smile, remember?
But I plan on doing a few more. I'll do some more than I usually do. So,
Lelani, thank you Thank you so much for being on.
Oh, you're welcome.